Thank you for joining us for this main stage presentation of Rise Up Philly. Up next, we are joined by two Jefferson leaders, Lisette Martinez, Executive Vice President and Chief Diversity Officer, and Clayton Mitchell, Senior Vice President of Real Estate and Facilities for Thomas Jefferson University and Jefferson Health. Enjoy this presentation.
Hey, good afternoon, Philadelphia. I'm Clayton Mitchell, Senior Vice President of Real Estate and Facilities for Jefferson University. Recent transplant to Philadelphia about 18 months ago. I came here from Kaiser Permanente, a health system based on the West Coast. And then prior to that, I served 25 years in the United States Navy as a Civil Engineer Corps officer. Privileged here to share the stage with my counterpart, Lisette Martinez.
Awesome. Thank you, Clayton. And I also want to say thank you for your service, many years of service. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Jefferson presentation today on vendor development. My name is Lisette Martinez, and I am the EVP for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Community Engagement. I am new also to Philadelphia, starting my role here just this past May, and I'm super excited to be here in the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection. So just a little bit about my role here with my inclusion responsibilities. I came here to develop an operational plan of inclusion in the way of implementing measures that provide access and break down the barriers of systemic racism. And how we are doing that is by looking at 5 areas that require our utmost focus. Our cabinet leaders work together in collaboration to intentionally develop a plan that looks at our leadership accountabilities, our marketing and communication efforts, our people dimension, experience, and last but not least, a direct focus on our external partners, and that's you. And this is where I will spend my time to talk about you, our partners, and the work we are doing to impact economic inclusion in Philadelphia with our Supplier Diversity Initiative. So we'll start the presentation. I'm going to share my screen here. All right. Technology is wonderful. So first, let me give you just a little bit of background about our organization, about both Jefferson Health and Thomas Jefferson University. As you know, we are Jefferson Health and Thomas Jefferson University, and we partner together to provide excellent clinical and compassionate care for our patients in the Philadelphia region, educating the health professionals of tomorrow in a variety of disciplines and discovering new knowledge that will define the future of our clinical care. As you can see, we have over 3,400 employees, 2,900 faculty, and 7,600 students within our area. I want to talk a little bit about our values. You know, our values are incredibly important to us all here at Jefferson. The behaviors our employees really demonstrate daily to both patients and students alike enables Jefferson to continue to achieve its mission. So Jefferson's values really define who we are as an organization, what we stand for, and how we continue the work of helping others that began here nearly 2 centuries ago. Our values really are to put people first. We are service-minded, and we are respectful and embrace diversity every day. We are to be bold and think differently, to be innovative and courageous and solution-oriented, and we are here to always do the right thing. We're safety-focused, integrity and accountability. I wanted to share a little bit. You see to the right there a picture of our SWAB squad. They're a phenomenal group that is now world-renowned. You've probably seen their video on YouTube dancing with the song Sierra's Level Up. They've been honored as everyday heroes and frontline medical workers. And maybe you've seen them recently on the Ellen Show. Just wanted to kind of share and give them a shout out to our SWAB squad. But we're here to talk about supplier diversity. And I wanted to share with you, what our policy statement is here. When we think about economic inclusion in our organization, we understand the importance and the responsibility in being in such a complex organization with a huge footprint along Philadelphia and South Jersey, that it is incredibly important to us to make sure that we uplift our city. And so our policy has always been that to promote and cultivate an inclusive environment through equitable and competitive business practices that really strengthen the diverse business community by providing access to information and business opportunities. I want you all to know that at Jefferson, we're committed to fostering a diverse supplier base, welcoming all potential suppliers who can fulfill our requirements on a competitive basis to see if you qualify for our open contracts, open to bid opportunities. And we have new access opportunities that I'll introduce to you here shortly. The purpose of our enterprise supplier diversity policy is to uniformly develop and maintain an equitable and competitive business environment that engenders innovative solutions, providing equal opportunity to all business enterprises to participate in all aspects of the contracting and purchasing programs without regard. And I'm going to list all of these because they are important to us: race, creed, age, sex, national origin, ethnic identity, physical and mental disability, veteran status, marital status, economic status, religion, sexual orientation, gender identity or expression, or any other legally protected basis for Thomas Jefferson University and our other affiliates as well. I want to share with you where we are. A lot of people want to know, what is Jefferson doing, or what is any other company doing with supplier diversity and our minority and women-owned vendors within our city? Well, let me tell you, Jefferson, we are partners with over 600 minority and women-owned businesses across the country. And we have done business just in the fiscal year 2020 over $176 million with minority and women-owned businesses, which is about 6% to our total spend that we spend here at Jefferson. And we've been tracking diverse spend here for approximately 10 years. This is incredibly important to us. And moving forward to even do better, because we know there's so much more we can do. And especially now, we need to pay attention to focus on our community and our local vendors, as we understand that the pandemic has really put a huge burden on all of our businesses, and we need to make sure that we have inclusion and face-to-face access to folks. And we've listened to our vendors to understand that that has been a challenge in the past. But I'm here to tell you, we are developing new programs to make sure that we have that access for you. So this is Rise Up Philly, and we wanted to make sure that we have programming just for you. And we're introducing to you what is called our Supply Chain Connect. This is where we offer potential diverse suppliers the opportunity to present their business virtually for now, and we answer initial questions from prospective diverse businesses. Jefferson Supply Chain Connect program is designed to connect more minority, women, veteran, persons with disability, and LGBT-owned small businesses to opportunities at Jefferson. So it is important to understand that participation in the presentation process does not guarantee a contract award. However, at Jefferson, we are committed to fostering a diverse supplier base and welcoming all potential suppliers who can fulfill our requirements on a competitive basis to see if you qualify to be part of the Supply Chain Connect platform. This is our first face-to-face access program that we are inviting folks to participate in. We are going to be holding what we call vendor pitches bi-weekly. We will be inviting vendors to open to bid opportunities. And the reason I say open to bid opportunities is because sometimes folks are invited to present to something that is already contracted and then have to wait. No, we're not doing that to you. We are making sure that if there's an open opportunity to bid, we are offering vendors to come and talk about it now. So you're not waiting 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years to wait on a call. And also, we are going to be building an application process on the web, but right now we have a direct email to our department to make sure that if you're interested to pitch, you can reach out to us directly and you'll have one-to-one contact. And for now, we are doing everything virtually for the safety because of the pandemic, to be socially distant. So a couple of things that you'll receive when you do become a part of our Supply Chain Connect initiative is once you work with our supplier diversity team and you are a candidate for an open to bid opportunity to meet face-to-face with our stakeholders, you're going to get a questionnaire. It's a get to know you questionnaire. You're going to be asked questions like, you know, what's your background? What's your experience? How long your company's been in business? And what are your products and services? And most importantly, we need to know if you are certified. Understand that you must be certified as a minority or women-owned vendor to qualify for diverse opportunities at Jefferson. And I'll show you who those certifying bodies are here in just a few minutes. Also, you'll receive a PowerPoint slide template for you to put your presentation in, and then you'll have a one-on-one session with our supplier diversity leaders to review your presentation and make sure that you have everything appropriate in your presentation to really move ahead and make that connection with the decision makers. We want to make sure that we set you up for success and that the right people are in the room to view, listen to you, and have everything in there for you to be able to start building that relationship. And then finally, guess what? You're going to get a date for your presentation. We're going to be filling up this calendar soon. So if you're interested, please let us know. But understand this. You must be certified in order to participate in our supplier diversity program. If you need help with certification, let us know in our department so that we can connect you with the right folks and possibly also help you along through that process. Within Philadelphia, there are several certifying bodies. These are the ones that we are connected with directly. NMSDC, which is the chapter here within Philadelphia and New Jersey, is the Eastern Minority Supplier Development Council. WeBank also has a chapter for women-owned companies. The NGLCC also has a program in Philadelphia. Then you have veteran-owned and then your Small Business Association 8A certification. If you need help understanding these processes, please visit their websites, as they do have step-by-step process on how to go through it. But again, if you need help with this, you can ask us and let us know as well. It's important to partner with these organizations, especially not just with certification, but also with helping to connect better. For example, the National Minority Supplier Development Council, NMSDC, has a 4-pronged program just made for our vendors within our city. They are here to help certify, to advocate for you, to develop you as an organization. But the most important thing they do is they also connect you with all corporations within their city areas, so within their region. So understand that these organizations are here to help you, not only develop you, but help you also connect to grow capacity as well. So now I'm going to pass it along to my friend Clayton Mitchell, who will talk a little bit about real estate and facilities.
All right, thanks a lot, Lisette. And one of the things I'd like to just really emphasize here is that the real estate and facilities program is a subset of the overall Jefferson Supplier Diversity. So all of the principles and the certifying associations that Lisette talked about there are germane within this domain too. But we also realize we have some real challenge areas. We do have a robust supplier diversity program, but there are certain elements of that program that we feel need a focus, particularly in the real estate and facility space. Next slide. So just a quick overview of the facilities way ahead. Again, it's full alignment with the Jefferson Supplier Diversity program objectives. our focus is really to optimize the value of capital spend for both Jefferson and the community, and that's really important. As we've listened to a lot of the sessions this week, one of the recurring themes is access to capital in underserved communities, and so we feel like Jefferson has the ability to contribute to helping the growth of those communities as we grow ourselves, so that we create this symbiotic relationship between the two. Ultimately building additional capacity within the MBE and WB communities, particularly in light of the fact that the capacity in those communities, as it is to today, is sometimes challenged. And we believe that as we build those capacities, that capacity, as we begin to contribute to $100, $200, $300 million, companies representing supplier diversity, that we'll have an even deeper pool of competition and folks that are able to execute on a lot of the capital programs that we have coming down the pipe. Next slide. So, my own personal observations of the challenges of MBE and WBE, and they really sort of come from I would say my background as not only a naval officer, but a certified contracting officer within the Navy. So I eventually received a level 3 warrant, which is an unlimited warrant to obligate funds on the behalf of the federal government, along with all of the programmatic issues that come with it. And so small businesses, services-owned veteran businesses, MBE, WBE, the whole spectrum of opportunities out there was just a significant emphasis in the United States Navy. I carried that with me to Kaiser Permanente, and I bring it here today. And there are a lot of challenges, but I really sort of focused on the top 3. And I kind of relate this to 3-dimensional chess. It's challenging in the real estate and facilities business, just in the norm. And so if you're challenged with access to the knowledge and the information that you need to really understand, how do you position your company for success, then you could be handicapped. If there are implicit biases within the organizations, and I'm not talking about the community organizations, I'm talking about our organizations, our corporate organizations, then we need to mitigate those to ensure that people feel they are getting sort of equal consideration as they approach us for work. And then oftentimes there's a misalignment between what the corporate imperatives are communicating and the actual actions in the actual contract selection process. And so, we need to really focus on removing some of those barriers. It's not to say that everyone who knocks on the door is going to get a contract, but everyone who knocks on the door should get access to the knowledge and the information that they need to position their companies for to be competitive. Next slide. So in transforming Jefferson's real estate and facilities acquisition initiative, and I do call it a transformation because I believe that there are a lot of opportunities for us to become a lot more focused and deliberate and intentional in our program as we relate to underserved parts of our community. Key to that are some listening sessions that we've established. Select roundtables with MBE and WBE to really sort of get their feeling about access and the things that they may have struggled with in terms of working with Jefferson. And so having begun those roundtables, haven't begun to engage contractors more directly in interviews to, sometimes we'll have our capabilities laid out in a document, but they don't really fully articulate everything that we do. And they, in many ways, don't articulate the values and principles of the various companies. And so we've become very deliberate in having those conversations so that we can go beyond the paper, beyond the spreadsheet, to get to the core values of the companies that represent the Philadelphia community. Refinement of our program objectives and policies so that they help remove some of the barriers that I talked about previously. Access, information, all of those things that could help us move forward, and also including our acquisition strategies, moving from a strict low bid determination for contract awards to best value, and taking into consideration all the things that bring value to our projects as we work with the community, establishing a team culture within Jefferson that embraces diversity and inclusion. And so that is us being very deliberate, ensuring that our project management team, our contract administrators, and those folks that are making the decisions and engaging in the relationships really embrace Jefferson's goals and objectives as they relate to diversity and inclusion. And then establishing a more corporate contract administration capability to institutionalize the best practices to sustain supplier diversity over time. So we don't want this to be personality focused. We don't want this to be, hey, there's Joe over there and he's really good in this space, and there's Jack over there and he struggles. We want a certain balanced excellence across the board in all of our dealings, across all of our enterprises, so that we consistently present to the community in a way that the community understands the expectations, feels comfortable engaging with our folks, and really views Jefferson as an open book partner in this quest that we have to improve our community as a whole. Next slide. So some of the most significant challenges that I've begun to sense in these conversations, at the top of that list is access to bid opportunities. Most of our projects are solicited on an invitation basis. And so this is an area of opportunity for us so that we can begin to understand what's coming down the pike, get that information developed, have the slates of contractors that are aligned with those particular type of contracts, and ensure that they have enough time to align their resources with those projects. And so the alignment of that project time into the firm's resources is another big challenge. What we found is in our current mode of operating, we will determine that, hey, we have a project need and we're going to go out to the street next week with that need. And we haven't given the community time to understand what's coming down the pike and prepare themselves to receive those opportunities. We know that we have to do a better job in advanced planning and getting advance notice of these bid opportunities to the community, and then developing competitive proposals. And in that area, we believe that the opportunity is not only when contractors bid a project and they're not awarded that project for whatever reason, that we allow for debriefs where we help them understand in fairly granular detail what the challenges their proposal had and how that proposal might have been improved, so that the next time that they put a proposal together, their chances for success are much higher. We realize and we acknowledge the fact that it costs money to propose on jobs. And so we want to be sensitive to the impacts of that, particularly in underserved communities. The cost of bidding projects and continuing to do that with marginal success is not an aim or an objective Jefferson seeks to achieve. What we seek to achieve is, when we've determined that you are certified and qualified to bid our projects, we want to position you for success to the extent possible, so that in one of those proposals, one of those winning proposals, you have the opportunity to demonstrate your capabilities to our organization. Next slide. And so key imperatives that I feel, and again, this isn't an exhaustive list, but these are some of the top things that I would be focusing on if I were listening into this session and I wanted to pursue work with Jefferson. I think critically, and I only highlight the DC, and WeBank. But I believe all of those certifications are important so that we are sure that we are pushing our help and pushing our capital and pushing our opportunities to those communities that may or may not have had great access to us previously. When you approach Jefferson, you need to be prepared for the long game. There may be some opportunities that are immediate, but in most cases, the opportunities are developed over a period of time. As we get to know you, you get to know us, we get to sort of align where those best opportunities are. You can't overemphasize the importance of relationships. And so that is one of the things. And when I talk about culture, it's about getting my team ready, our Jefferson team ready to have that open communication so that there's just a spirit of trust that's built between our firm and the community. Fully understanding your firm's capabilities. One of the worst things that can happen is to oversell or over tout certain types of capabilities. And so I think the conversations that we have help tease that out and help us find those opportunities that best align with the community's capabilities. Consider partnering and joint ventures as an opportunity to build capacity. And I think there's a lot of opportunities for firms to come together, take the strengths of two smaller firms, combine those, and hopefully the weaknesses of one offset the strengths of the other, and position that joint venture or partnership for success in achieving an award on our projects. And then always request debriefs after an unsuccessful pursuit. That is going to be our policy. If you pursue one of our projects, you've put energy, you've put resources into going after our work. We need to at least acknowledge that by sitting down and having that frank discussion of where that proposal could have been improved. And then never take any communication for granted, whether it's email, whether it's phone call, whether it's a text. Always look for that opportunity to put your best foot forward. We'll commit to meeting you halfway in those communications, and being as responsive to you as I'm sure you hope we are responsive to us. And so those are just high level imperatives that I would put at the top of my list. But I would also invite folks, and we're having these conversations with the broader community as we speak. If there's more insights and more detailed insights you'd like to have, we're certainly open to that dialogue to begin to build that relationship. Next slide.
Okay. I think this is where I want to let everyone know that if you're interested to pitch, and thank you, Mitch, I think we have some questions that we're going to be answering. And this is one of our final slides, but we do want to get into the question and answer, because I know that, Clayton, you had a lot of great information that people are looking to get answers from, and your presentation was phenomenal. Thank you for introducing this work to our participants here in Philadelphia. But just so that you know, to pitch your company, as I mentioned before, we're working on a website, but for right now, we have a direct email. Email us at enterprisediversity@jefferson.edu. If you have, if you're a vendor, if you're a minority, women-owned vendor, veteran-owned, you have a certification, you can email myself, Lisette Martinez, or Bridget Battles. You may know her. She's our manager of supplier diversity, sponsorship, and community engagement. She manages and leads this effort for our organization. We'll keep you connected to the right people in our organization. Face-to-face access. This is what you've asked for. This is what we're going to provide for you today. So I saw that there was a question.
I have a question.
Can you give?
Oh, so can you?
Oh, okay, I see one.
Okay. The first question is, can you give examples of the types of vendors you're looking to work with at Jefferson? Lisette, you want to lead that off, and I can talk about the real estate facilities part afterwards?
Sure. Absolutely. I've already been working, Bridget and I are working very closely with our supply chain partners, and we have our top list of opportunities that are currently open that we're looking for. So if you are a vendor in the areas of office supplies, office fit out or furniture, capital and construction, PPE, you all know, personal protective equipment. Right now, this is a huge need for us all. If you are a vendor in PPE, email us immediately. Interpretive services, also equipment rentals is another one as well. So I'll go through this again. Office supplies, office fit out furniture, capital and construction, PPE, personal protective equipment, interpretive services, equipment rentals. And also, there's also some various medical device categories. You'll have to let us know if you are in the medical device business. Let us know. And then there are certain things, because it's very granular, we need to understand specifically what devices we're in the market for. But if you are in medical devices, let us know. Okay, so one last time. Third time's a charm. Office supplies, office fit out furniture, capital and construction, PPE, interpretive services, equipment rentals, and medical device categories.
Yeah, and so on the capital construction side, the thing I would say is a lot of our spend today has been focused on tier 2 and tier 3. So we're specifically looking for general contractor, tier 1 type entities that can come in and provide construction services for us there. Architect engineering capabilities are also being sought. And then facilities maintenance, basically repair, maintenance, those types of contractor efforts are also being sought. Not as much, I would say there's a lot of PMCM, project management, construction management firms out there. We anticipate that we may see a lot of that work start to flow maybe in the next year and a half to 2 years, but over this next year to 18 months as we flow through COVID, we don't anticipate as much of that type of work flowing to us. But I would say that please don't let that stop you from establishing the relationship. Again, particularly in those areas, they are very relationship focused. And so, if you're going to play the long game, if you're looking, 2 to 3 years out, now's the time to start having those conversations. There's a second question. What are your suggestions for a new entrepreneur who is trying to do business with a large organization? Was that?
Great question. So a couple of things that I want to suggest. So depending on what business area you're certified in and which certifying body you have worked with, I had mentioned in our presentation that there are several areas that certify. And when you go to a certifying agency, so I'm going to use the National Minority Supplier Development Council as an example. You have here in Philadelphia and South Jersey, the Eastern Minority Supplier Development Council. Google them, look them up, get involved with the EMSDC. They have a programs that are to certify you, of course, to help develop you with a lot of different programming and connect you with other vendors as well, to have your own roundtables and discussion and benchmark with each other. They also advocate for you. As you are certified with them, they will advocate for you throughout the region and also connect you with the right businesses. They are all connected. EMSDC is connected with every organization within our regions in Philadelphia and in South Jersey. They know who the players are who are looking for diverse vendors. And on top of that, they also help with capacity building. They have many educational series. They also have matchmaker events throughout the year to help you. And they have trade shows as well that they also conduct. Now, of course, a lot of the work that we're doing is virtual, but these organizations help you not only with connection, but to develop you, to help you build capacity. And also with Jefferson, when you have an organization like ours that has a solid supplier diversity initiative for an organization, we are going to work with you one-on-one as well. If you need help to understand on how to do business with Jefferson, we will do that Jefferson one-on-one course with you. We are developing a program to open up to all vendors. And also, we are also going to be developing a mentoring program to make sure that you are connected to our larger organizations so that you can learn from and benchmark to help grow your organization as well. So if you're connected, ask that question. Ask, does that corporation have mentoring that they can help you with? Can you help us with understanding on how to do business with you? That's incredibly important, because how you do business with a healthcare system is going to be different than how you do business with other industries like education, or electronics or IT or any other company. So understand that doing business with us will require you to understand the ins and outs and how you do business with us, but most important, to help build relationships. So ask us, connect with us, let us know what you need, and we will make sure that we also provide you with that. And if you need help with connecting with NMSDC, WeBank, or NGLCC, we also have those partnerships too.
And then on the real estate and facility side, I would add that number one, do not be afraid to ask for help. When one of the biggest challenges I see with new entrepreneurs is they're trying to do everything in their business themselves. They're trying to do the payroll and keep the invoices going, and so sometimes it may be time to get help. I'd say there's multiple ways to come through the door to do work. For Jefferson, there's the tier one, which is what we're trying to press for. But also, if I were an entrepreneur, particularly on the construction and facility side, then I might look for a sub or a partnering opportunity so I can come in and learn some of those processes, with someone else as the lead. And so sometimes we call those mentor protege type opportunities. But you can't beat having seen a process go down before, particularly for a construction process. It's typically a discrete period of time, and so you have that opportunity to learn that process, pick it up, and then go out and execute that on yourself. Next one's going to be an easy one for Lisette. Is there a website where I could find the information you presented here today?
Great question. So for the Supply Chain Connect, it's currently under construction. It's brand new. This is a new initiative for Jefferson, and we're working really hard. We have already started the Supply Chain Connect program back in October. However, our web team and our web development is doing the process right now and working with supply chain, so we have all the right features in it so that you have this available to you. But if the question also is asking about certification, all the certification bodies that I did mention, NMSDC, WeBank, and NGLCC, they all have websites too with this type of information that I provided. So please feel free to go in and look at their programming.
All right, another question. Thank you for all that you're doing during this challenging time. What are you hopeful for in the new year?
For me, I think what I'm hopeful in the new year is for us to be able to uplift our city. We understand a lot of work to do at Jefferson, but we want to be part of the economic inclusion and the impact that we make in really rising up Philly and making sure that our local vendors, our minority vendors, our women-owned vendors, veteran-owned vendors have those opportunities. We understand the burden that the pandemic has had, and we want to uplift and make sure that we have access to make sure that we can, be sure that we're doing our responsibility and partnering with you to help, make an impact to this city for the better.
So I'm gonna switch it to thankful. I'm really thankful. I think both Lisette and I came from organizations where supplier diversity were, just really fully part of the ethos of those organizations. And so to be recruited to come to Jefferson, I mean, I think this is Lisette's deep focus area, and it's a very, very passionate source of passion for me. But I'm coming from an organization that was perceived as the number one in that space, and being thankful to have partners like Lisette and others who've come into Jefferson here recently to really transform the culture, to really take the organization in a different direction. And I don't think either of us are take this lightly, that a lot of accountability has been placed upon us to do that, and so I'm just really thankful for that support. Really thankful for the support from the community to really help us understand what are the challenges out there. Those really frank conversations and discussions that are helping us go inside the machine, so to speak, and help Jefferson and help influence Jefferson and push Jefferson and move Jefferson and partner with Jefferson to sort of build those stronger community ties. I think that access to capital is. I heard someone say that when you live in a capitalist society, capital is king. It's the lifeblood, and so to the extent that we can help get that lifeblood to underserved parts of this community, at least speaking for myself, I'm just incredibly thankful for the opportunity to make a difference. Can you give us more information about the mentoring program?
Yeah, so this again is, I mentioned it before, and I know, Mitch, you also have opportunities for mentoring within real estate and construction as well, especially with your great connections with large construction management and GCs. When we're talking about, our supply chain and our larger tier one organizations that have larger contracts, we understand that there are smaller vendors that possibly may not be able to uphold a larger capacity contract that has a huge capacity for such a large organization. But mentoring and partnering with some of these tier ones can help you through that. And there's a lot of ways to do that. And we're currently in the process of developing what that would look like, what vendors would participate, and how we can do matching to make sure that you're connected to those like-minded organizations to help you through and benchmark to help you grow your capacity within your organization. And there's a lot of ways that you can do that. And so we're in the process of making sure that that happens. And, we'd love to take ideas, what you would like to see to happen as well. So please, if you have suggestions, email us, enterprisediversity@jefferson.edu. We're in this process of really wanting to develop a very strong initiative on mentoring. This is important to us. We understand the large footprint that we hold, and we don't take it lightly. This is serious, and we want to make sure that we not only help with our economic inclusion, but we want to be part of you to be part of that impact too.
This next question, I believe that I've seen before. If you're a Jefferson temp, is it a conflict of interest for my business to try to contract with Jefferson? And unfortunately, if you're an employee of Jefferson, it is a conflict for us to award, within our workforce. I've had situations where people have a certain type of project that they want to do. There are maybe some cases where that might be able to be accomplished, but in a couple of cases, it was somebody who was actually doing work that was closely associated with what they were trying to contract for, and that was clearly a conflict. But I think it's probably better to sort of define what it is that you're trying to contract. Seek the we do have a compliance officer there, and get a definitive response from the compliance officer. Because for example, if you're painting art over here and it has nothing to do with your work environment, there may be that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
So the questions have kind of slowed up. Are any parting shots for you, Lisette, in terms of, we did have the question of what we were hopeful for 2021, but what do you think are sort of the big initiatives that you want to really drive over the next year?
When I think about inclusion, one of the biggest initiatives, of course, supplier diversity is near and dear to my heart. And I introduced myself a little bit, but a lot of you may not know that my first calling right out of college is I worked in supply chain for many years, and I worked in supplier diversity on a national basis for Macy's. And this is incredibly important to me. I'm so driven and passionate about this work. And so this is a huge initiative. I want to be able to make an impact for Philadelphia, and am so committed to making sure that not only are we providing access and inclusion and working on building awards, but that a bigger portion of that is to make this a key focus for the organization. How are we holding our organization accountable to sticking to the work and making sure that we have inclusion on bids and opportunities? Because, you mentioned earlier, Mitch, in your presentation about, implicit bias. Well, we know this exists. We know this exists with, access to representation when we hire. Same goes with access to, our suppliers as well. That bias is truly a part of how decisions are made. And unconscious or not, we have to be a part of this to make sure that we bridge that gap of disparity within our suppliers as well. And so it's important to me that we also hold our organization accountable and put key metrics in place that really put our leaders to have a focus on what they need to do in order to really break down systemic racism within our organization. So that's incredibly important to me. I hear a lot from vendors, we don't get an opportunity to meet the right people. We don't get a chance to bid for opportunities. We don't get a chance for this, but you know what? What we need to be talking about is how do we hold our leaders accountable for this, and how do we put measures in place to make sure that happens? Because once that happens, you're going to get invitations, and that's what's incredibly important. That's a huge initiative that I would like to lift.
No, I totally agree. I talked about my Navy experience, but my passion in this space really comes from my grandfather, who was a small business. He was a mortician, and he could never get a business loan. And so when he had a disruption in his business, it could be a 10-year gap for him to raise the capital to mitigate whatever that challenge was. One time it was a flood that washed out his mortuary. Nor he couldn't get loans, nor could he get insurance. And so, growing up and hearing those stories, seeing the anguish, seeing the pain, and things of that sort, and now being in a place, from a career standpoint, to help mitigate some of those challenges is really just it's sort of like paying it forward for what my grandfather and my grandparents may or may not have had access to. We have another question regarding conflicts of interest for someone who's both a business owner and seeking employment with Jefferson. I would encourage you, if you're seeking employment, you're more than likely in contact with one of our HR representatives, and I would pose that question to the HR representative, and I'm pretty sure they can get you to, or they can answer that question with compliance and give you the right feedback. All righty. So thanks for joining us for Rise Up Philly. We're wishing you the best of luck and looking forward to hearing from you. And thank you, Lisette, for allowing me to share the stage with you.
Oh, thank you for sharing with me. This was fantastic, and hope to really be able to get to know more people within Philadelphia under the circumstances. I know we're virtual, but this will all be over soon, and soon we'll all be able to actually break bread together in person. And I look forward to meeting as many people as I can as I'm here, as I'm really enjoying staying here and living here in the Philadelphia area. So thank you all for joining Rise Up Philly, and have a great and safe and happy holidays.